fucking dog.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch is loud. Yeah. All right. All right. Here we go. We have JC Rotten. Is there anything that you want to plug?
Obviously, starting Pro Wrestling Trainwreck. You can follow us on all our social medias at PW Trainwreck. That's Twitter and Instagram. Obviously, on Facebook at Pro Wrestling Trainwreck. You can find me on various social medias at DevilSon_Rotten, JC Rotten 138 on Instagram, and then obviously here on Facebook.
Okay. Fantastic. Let's see. Let's start off with something that you've done addressed before in the past. But welcome to the rec room. Whenever they got the health notice or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Um, like how did that pan out? Like,
You mean the end result of everything?
yeah, that the complete end of it. What was like the end
So
of it?
basically, we nothing nothing ever came from like the health department. Basically, they released another statement after their statement saying that there was no cause. They had no cause to put that out. Basically, um, so like if I wanted to, I could have sued them, but I just let it go. I didn't care enough. Like we had sickness coming up. I wasn't gonna try to get in some bullshit legal battle with the city of New Albany, everything else. Um, and then after the health department releases that statement, then we get contacted by the ABC, which they control like alcohol and all that stuff. And basically, they heard that there was like we were selling alcohol or whatever, which is all just bullshit. Um, just a bunch of lies made up. And so basically, the end result was me sending the hard files, the rough files, to like two or three different law enforcement agencies, and being like, "Here's everything. This is nothing's edited. There's no effects, nothing. This is the raw footage. You can clearly see it." And I have since yet to be contacted by anybody. So basically, they look like idiots, and we nothing's came from it.
So pretty much it was all lies.
Yeah, basically, like, um,
They just didn't want deathmatch wrestling there. That's what it seems like to me.
well, so like, Fire Dwarf's dad, Dakota's dad,
Right.
Mitch Page got his head cut years and years ago. Um, most people know what I'm talking about, the clock incident where half of Mitch's head was hanging off.
Yeah, I want to say that was with Madman Pondo, I believe.
Yeah, that was with Pondo, and so his dad his dad was EMS at that time, so his dad responded to that call when Mitch got cut open real bad. And so basically his dad's like had a vendetta on deathmatch wrestling like ever since then, essentially. um, Reed couldn't show up. He got knocked loopy wrestling Akira at On Point, um, and just didn't feel like he could have the caliber match that we usually have. So Dakota had been busting his ass. Like literally, Rec Room wouldn't have happened without that kid. Um, he busted his ass. We made sure the building was where we needed it to be to run a show, etc. Um, and so I was like, hey man, this your time to shine. It's time to fucking put up or shut up. Like you ready to go? And he was ready. And like that kid's like my little brother basically. Like I pick on him all the time. Like we poke fun at each other, everything else. Like we're just he's a really close friend of mine. So I was like, let's fucking do this. Let's go out there because we've wrestled on like 4 or 5 different shows that just haven't been taped because I wanted him to get that experience. So I was like, let's go, let's do this. And he loves deathmatch wrestling. I mean, obviously, MDKC was the group that gave him the name Fire Dwarf.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, we did.
he loves deathmatch wrestling. That's what he wants to do. And unfortunately, uh, a move got performed incorrectly. A botch happened, and he got scraped up real bad. And you wouldn't even be able to tell now. Like he's perfectly fine, and he's ready to get back in there and do this again. But he's worried about the repercussions of his dad. So it was just his dad called, went to this town meeting. It caused a bunch of shit there, like threw out a bunch of lies, etc. But we'll be back in Indiana eventually. It just, right time, right place. We got a whole bunch of shit coming up in 2020. A couple different places we're going to travel. Illinois, hoping to make it out to the East Coast sometime. So, getting there.
Okay, good. Let's talk about Southern Sickness. It was the first. What was your favorite match of that? The whole tournament. What was your favorite match?
Man, honestly, that opening match of the night, on night one, the 4-way with Kevin Geese, Lucas Jacobs, Cole, and Akira in it. Man, Lucas Jacobs and Kevin Geese are guys that normally don't ever do death matches. Akira just started to dabble in them, and Cole's done a couple here and there. And they just went out there and they set the bar for the entire show. They went out there and proved, you know, that this is how you do it. You set it off right. You set it off big. And then obviously the back runner of that, right behind it. I think that match was my favorite simply just because of pride. I've believed in all those guys since day one. Since I've met them. So like I've known Cole since he was 14. Um, so he's like my day one kid basically. Uh, Lucas Jacobs, I helped get kind of break into the deathmatch stuff and do some wild and crazy stuff. Akira, really giving him that shot and the opportunity to break out. Then Kevin Giza, a dude that's been wanting to do the deathmatch stuff and just haven't got the opportunity. So I think that match is a prideful thing. But back running to that, I think Murdoch and Tremont, just because it's such an emotional thing. The two guys that have kind of. Matt's always been a guy for me that's kind of steered me in the right direction. When I was kind of at a bad place in life and needed direction in wrestling, Tremont was a guy that kind of beat my ass, and put me in the right path. And then Murdoch is a guy that I've had my best matches with. You could put all of our matches on one on a TV, and it would be my best of, because John's the guy that brings out the best. So that's those two guys, one ring, the match they've had, what they've done for me. That's probably my number 2 favorite of the whole night.
Okay. Let's see. Vic wants to know, how did you talk Kevin Geese into doing a death match?
Literally, all it was we were at IWA, had some issues with guys dropping out. I want to say right after Alex Zane couldn't make it. He had some stuff going on. He got that Impact date, and I literally just went down in the locker room and I was like, "Hey, man, I've always believed in you. You've always trusted me with, kind of steering you in the right direction. I need you to do this for me." And without hesitation, Giza was right there to do it. And like I said, he's been one of my guys since he started at IWA. I've always kind of push for Giza and push Giza, to be better and do better things. So I'm super proud of where he's at right now. So it was literally just a thing of, hey man, I need you to do this for me.
It was like a favor. You was asking him for a favor.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, okay. Marley Knox, we had her on here back here. She said that you have taken her like under your wing.
Yeah, Marley's essentially my golden girl, man. She's I've been calling her a rotten prodigy. Because that's the way I look at her. She's getting an opportunity in January to do IWA's Battle Broads show to get on those rosters. Um, Obviously, she'll be at Trainwreck. She's got some other big stuff coming up, so I take pride in being the one that's kind of helped pushing her and everything else. She unfortunately, when she got brought into the business, everybody told her, oh, you're too small to be doing this. You're too small to be doing that. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. I don't believe in that shit, man. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're 4'1" or 6'8". If you know how to beat somebody's ass, you're gonna beat somebody's ass no matter how big or small they are.
That is true. That is true. What did you see in her whenever you first saw her? Was like
Uh,
what made you want
so
to take your what made you want to guide her like you've been doing?
so the first clip I saw of Marley was her taking that razor bump board uh, in
Death
Death.
becomes her too.
Yeah. So I we had spots open up, and I hit her up, and I was like, hey, I got a spot for you if you want to do it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, don't worry, you won't have to take any razors, because I was under the impression, it was one of those things where like, hey, you're going to take this razor board. And she was like, no, I asked them to do that. And like literally right from that message, I was like, all right, you're gonna be my one. Like I'm gonna fucking build you. Uh, and she's crazy. Uh, she's crazy, man. She loves it. She loves being hit. I don't know if anybody saw the giant goose egg that she had on her head from going to war with Reed Bentley. 6 hours in a car together. She didn't bitch. She didn't complain. Never once. Oh, I hate that I look like this or that. She's took her bumps and bruises and was like, all right, let's go. Let's do this thing again next year. So she's ready, man. When I said she was a bad bitch, I mean she's a bad bitch. She's gonna step in there and go toe to toe with just about anybody.
That is awesome. Let's see. Robert, will you do a tournament in Georgia? We need deathmatch in the South.
I believe there's a tournament already running in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, which one is
What is it? Tournament of Horror, I believe it's called. I've always liked to be the guy. I don't want to step on toes. I don't want to push my way into anywhere that somebody's already doing their thing and everything else. Always want to be respectful to them. So if the opportunity arises, a building in Georgia that wants to have death matches or something, Trainwreck will gladly travel wherever. Just as long as we can talk to the guys that are doing Tournament of Horror first to see if it's cool with them if we come down there and give them some Trainwreck violence.
it? Okay. Um, let's get some comments about how you feel about Cornette talking about Trainwreck.
I don't give a fuck, man. Like he, you know, there's some stuff that he says that I go, yeah, that makes sense. Certain views about how AEW is producing product or whatever. And then there's other shit like talking shit about G Raver, who is like one of the nicest guys out there.
Yes, he's actually going to be on next week, I believe.
Like Raver and I had like a little spout or whatever over the stuff with sickness. This obviously before he got hurt. Um, but literally, I sent him a message right after it happened. After he got cut, because Louisville, which I live like 15 minutes outside of, has like some of the best doctors in the world. And I told him, I was like, hey man, if for some reason you can't find a doctor around you to do what you need to get done, let me know. And I'll put you up, do whatever you need me to do. And he thanked me, and he was so gracious. Braver's just such a good dude, man. And to talk shit about a guy that just loves wrestling is kind of bullshit. But I don't care what he says about Trainwreck, man. It don't affect me in no way, shape, form whatsoever. Like, he's a dude that can't hold a job anywhere because he can't keep his mouth shut. Uh, so it doesn't affect me, either way.
No, I think he's done became irrelevant now. So let's see. Um, did you see that Kevin from IWA Deep South was on?
Yeah, I saw that.
Michael wants to say thanks for the shout out to MDKC on the SSC DVD.
Definitely, man. I'm always gonna put you guys on. I love this group. You know, um, Michael's always been super chill with me, and ever since we kind of like started talking and doing this thing with Trainwreck, and I always support you guys. Always love being able to shout you guys out and get more people here.
We appreciate it. Well, why did you choose? Why did you choose us?
Uh, it's
What made you want to work with us?
the love, man. It's other Facebook groups want to. There's always going to be some bickering, always going to be some back and forth. Um, but other Facebook groups, they want to they want to bitch and complain, and everybody's fighting in their groups and everything else, and uh, you guys are like a family basically. Everybody gets along, and everybody has their opinions, obviously, but this is the big one. This is the one that it's like I said to Blake Walden on the phone today. Blake called me. We were talking, and I said, you know, why would I go to the store and cook myself a steak when I can go to a steakhouse? And that's MDK Steakhouse. You guys are the best around.
We appreciate that. Thank you. Um, let's see. What was it like growing up with with your dad being an ECW wrestler? Like, what was like? What was that like as a little kid?
So I wasn't born while he was still in ECW. I was born in '96. So I was really it got kind of crazy there from like nine like from like my younger days, uh like when I start to remember stuff like four, up. So like 2000, 2001, um he was still like a really hot commodity, especially in the deathmatch scene.
Yes.
Oh, two, it was even bigger because of the stuff, the CZW invasion, everything else. And I was traveling to a lot of those shows, man. When I was like 4 and 5, I was on the road with my dad a lot because I wasn't in school yet. I didn't start school until like later when I was like later in my 5 year old time. So like I got to see a lot of stuff firsthand, man, and it was crazy because you know at that time, you don't see it as much now. It's starting to come back more, but a lot of shows were drawing 300, 400 people wherever you were going. It didn't matter who was on the card or whatever. And it was so funny because I remember going to Milwaukee with him, and he was a heel in Milwaukee. And man, just got such good heat. Uh, but then I just had diehard fans like all over the place. So it was kind of a surreal thing. Like when I was younger, man, it was always a long running joke because Rey Mysterio Jr. was the reason I wanted to become a wrestler. Um, and so people would always ask me like, "Oh, your dad must be your favorite wrestler." I'm like, "No, Rey Mysterio is, but he's a close second." So that was always our long running joke. But it was crazy, man, because he was everywhere at the time, and I got to do a lot of traveling that I'm very grateful for.
Let's see.
So
Oh,
the VIP stuff for sickness, I sent a couple people a couple messages. Uh, so my little brother went to the hospital to have a surgery done on his heart. He ended up having a stroke. He was in there for 16 days, so that threw me back a bunch. Um, then I went to Burnston DVDs, and the whole spindle of DVDs was shit, so I had to go buy more. Then the boxes that they sent me were the incorrect boxes, so I had to get my box order replaced. Then that box got stolen, and so I had to order. Luckily, they sent me more. Uline being a great company, sent me more, and I got those. So now I'm just trying to like get all the DVDs burnt, and it's 4 disc total. So like I'm trying to get all the DVDs burnt, still do dad stuff, still do family stuff, and trying to get it all together. I promise you guys, you will get them. I'm not a bullshitter. If anybody that's a VIP would like the digital files of sickness, the Google Drive files, please just shoot me a message. Feel free to message either me or personally on the Trainwreck page, and I'll shoot those to you to hold you over. But you guys definitely will get them. It's just taking me a time because a shit ton of setbacks. It's the of Southern sickness.
let's- uh, well, that was like 2001. You see the picture?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
the
say.
one King of the Death.
Yeah. Well, you remember that?
I do actually, and if you look at my face in that picture, the I at the time I wanted nothing to do with blood, and so I was leaning so far like hard away from him to not get blood on me, um, and then now I'm covered in blood, at end of most of my matches.
Well, okay. A little bit further ahead in time, we'll say the Mike incident, the Mike Levy incident.
Yeah,
You was in on that, yes?
yeah, man, I was just a kid, but literally the only person that could have hurt him in that whole thing was Pondo suplexing him on the potty seat. Pondo could have impaled him. At least I was smart enough at 9 or 10 or however old I was to not crack the dude in the back of the head. I at least hit him across the shoulder blades with the kendo stick.
He deserved it though. I feel he went out there and acting like an asshole.
Yeah, man, he was just an idiot, but whatever. I don't know how the guy is now. Haven't spoke to him or heard from him in years or whatever. So I mean, good for him that his legacy lives on through this.
He had the legacy of going out there and being an asshole.
Yeah,
I, that I just find it very disrespectful.
yeah, man. I mean, he just a guy that didn't have a clue. If you go back and like watch the video of it happening, like people always talk about like, oh, Tank could have killed him, and if you watch the video, Tank almost breaks his fucking ankle trying to protect the dude, to not stomp his fucking head through the canvas. Um, like people bitch about that, like that incident or whatever, but like, man, if there would have been video cameras, if there would have been cell phones 30 years ago in the business, there would not be wrestling around now. Like, I've heard so many stories from people I've been around as a kid of like people just getting their ass beat in the locker room or getting, punched in the face, for saying something stupid or whatever. Like, so many people would be not in wrestling.
They're actually playing a video of it right now. We can't see it, but they are playing a video of it right now as we speak, talking about it.
But yeah,
Um, yeah, he deserved it though. That was my thought. Okay, AEW doing a death match. What do you think about that?
um, I mean, they're just trying to, be different from the WB product, and if they can use a little blood and create a little violence, whether the argument of whether the argument of I'm doing dad stuff at the moment as well. So
I know the feeling.
there. Yeah, doing dad stuff at the moment as well. I apologize. Um, try to put her to sleep earlier, and our cat woke her up. So, um, but if they can create a little noise, by doing a little violence, whether it's you know, people talking about the wire being clipped or using sugar glass or whatever, and whatever they can do, if they can, make a little noise by using some violence, more power to them, man. I mean, it's if it if three people see that match, that don't know what death matches are, and they go, "Oh man, that was cool," and then they start looking up what a death match is. It's created three new fans. So I mean, obviously more than three people have seen that match. So it might have garnered new fans for death matches, and it made a lot of people go, "Oh my god, that's awful, that's terrible." It's just not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody likes horror movies. Not everybody likes comedies. Not wrestling is so closely related to movies. Some people don't like blood and gore. Don't watch horror movies. Some people don't like comedy. Don't watch comedy movies. That's just how I feel about wrestling.
Okay. Um, what memories do you have of Axel Rotten?
Um, so like my earlier memories, I don't remember a lot of it. I remember going to his house in Baltimore and stuff when I was younger. Uh, singing in the car with him and my dad. Singing like random country songs. George Strait and stuff like that. And then Axel, then like 3 songs later, putting in a Kiss CD and us, wailing along to Kiss. But as I got older, didn't see too much of them. Came back around for a short period of time when we did the War Games stuff back then. Got to spend a little bit more time with them. Had fun. Um, but then later on, when he came back down right before he passed away, was really, really my fondest memories of a man because he was there every time I was wrestling. There every time I was wrestling, giving me advice. Um, I remember sitting in hotel rooms with him. Um, and him telling me, "Oh, do this way, and you'll get a better reaction," or "Do this, or this was really good," or he was just always on top of me about being better. Um, and it's a shame, like the old bomber jackets they had back in USWA and Global. Axel was about to make me one of those right before he passed. So it sucks that unfortunately he didn't get to do that because that would have been a great thing to hold on to. But man, those later memories, when I was him just being there all the time, giving me advice, watching wrestling with him and my dad at my dad's house. It was a really really good experience, man, and something that I think people don't really people kind of remember Axel for obviously the Taipei death, but then that interview he did with Raven where him and Raven are all fucked up and everything, and it's a shame because when Axel was clean and sober, man, he's one of the best minds in wrestling that there is, and he knows so much. He knew so much and uh, loved wrestling so much and wanted to give back so much, and it's a shame that he got taken so soon.
It is a shame. Um, what is your relationship with with Ian right now?
It's great, man. It's probably the best it's ever been, honestly. We had a falling out, uh, and if we wouldn't have had really a falling out, I don't think Trainwreck would be on the path it is right now. Because when I left Mid South, um, I just I needed some type of wrestling. I needed some type of outlet, and I called Eric Wayne, and I was like, "Look, man, if we're gonna do this, let's just go at it and go at it hard." And for a year now, I've been uh, running hard with Trainwreck and just doing everything I can do. So, but like our relationship is the best it is, man. I go to IWA on Thursdays, and I'm there helping out. I'm there helping out some talent, giving advice, stuff like that. Um, and he gets to see his granddaughter. We go out. He's coming here for Christmas. This is the first time he's been we've done Christmas at my house. So he gets to see his granddaughter on Christmas morning, open up her presents and everything. It's a good time, man. When I was working for him, we just always butted heads because I wanted. I mean, MDKC of all the groups, and all the people know how different we are when it comes to just certain mindsets on things. And when I worked there, I wanted to go one direction, he wanted to go the other, and I just didn't like those directions most of the time. And if you watch the end of my IWA run, I just didn't give a shit anymore. I was like, just wearing whatever the fuck I wanted to wear, didn't care, and I just. But now it's great, man. I couldn't be happier with the relationship that we have right now.
That is fantastic. Nikki Thick wanted to know when is the next Trainwreck event.
The next Trainwreck show will be in March. We take off for November. Obviously, because of Thanksgiving, everybody's traveling. We want people to, spend their money on time with their family. Same thing for December with Christmas. January, everybody's trying to pay back those bills that they spent too much money on Christmas for. Uh, and then February's Valentine's Day. So if you got somebody special in your life, you're spending all your money that you just paid back from Christmas on getting your Mrs. or Mister something, and so we take off for them. We come back in March. We don't have a definitive date on March just yet. We're working with our building to see, because we run in a bar that holds concerts almost 365 days a year. So it's just trying to get their schedule lined out with our schedule.
Okay. Um, has Ian seen SSC? If so, what does he think of it? Murder, Death, Kill.
He saw clips. Harbo, who is like Ian's right hand man, was down there helping me, and he was like giving my dad running reports on stuff. Uh, and he hasn't seen the whole show, but he called me after night two when I was in the hotel room and just told me he was proud of me, and he saw all the good stuff people were saying and everything else. So as far as what he thinks of it, I think he thinks I did good, and he knows I'm coming back again with it next year, and it's real good just to hear him say that he's proud, because the two night death match tournament thing really has always kind of been an IWA thing, and I'm proud to be doing the same thing with Trainwreck. I just think two-night death matches, tournaments, and shows are way more fun. I think people get their money's worth, better that way. So I'm hoping we can keep doing that every year and getting people involved.
Yes, I would like to see that. Um, let's talk about your time in IWA. Let's talk about what did you like about it? Obviously, you didn't like the towards the end, but tell us about some of the ups of working
Uh,
in IWA.
I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot of being in Mid South. When I first started, I was real young. I got to ref a lot of really good matches, and really learn more there. Then, like in the first 2 years, um, I was trying too hard to be a carbon copy of Rotten. Trying to do stuff that my dad and Axel did and everything else, and it just didn't work for me. So then when I started kind of doing my own thing, um, then when I started doing my own thing and doing doing what I like, kind of what I wanted to do. I really got comfortable, really got in my stride. Then started wrestling guys like Jimmy Jacobs and Jake Christ and Ricky Shane Page, Gage. Really got those opportunities to wrestle bigger talent. So I learned a lot, man. I had fun. My dad was always giving me advice every week, watching my matches, tell me what I did wrong, what I did right. And I got to see uh, the promotion side of things. 1 second. Go. I got to see the promotion side of things, man. So, um, that helps me with Trainwreck now. Do's and don'ts of kind of things. So, it there's more good times in Mid South than there is bad. And bad, a lot of it just came from us butting heads. Okay, go, and I'll get you
I understand you with the dad thing. Don't worry. I understand
some.
100%. So, let's see. Well, okay. What do you think Ian's gonna like try to? Would he hand down IWA to you whenever he's done, or
There
sell it to you, or something like that?
there was a time. Yes, that is me. Uh, there was a time in my life um, where that's all I wanted to do was when he was ready. I wanted Mid South, and will you please stop? uh, there was a time when uh, I wanted to take over Mid South, and when he was done, I wanted it, and unfortunately, I think that time has passed. Actually, I'm having I'm having so much fun with Trainwreck, doing my own thing, doing wrestling how I want to do it. Girl, I'm having so much fun with Trainwreck, doing wrestling the way I want to do it. So I don't think when he's ready, um, that I'll be the person that takes it over. I don't think I'll be that person. Maybe Nick, maybe Misty, somebody uh, like that, but it won't be me. It'll be somebody else, and you know, like I said, man, Trainwreck's just my baby now, and that's where I see myself for the next 10 years.
All right. Um, how, do you miss IWA doing death matches?
Uh, Honestly, I don't, because my dad stressed so much when it came, like, in the very end run of stuff, when IWA was doing a lot, like Guardians of Hardcore 2 and King of the Death for the past couple times it happened. I was the one putting together a lot of stuff. I was the one that was putting stuff together on the fly when he's like, oh shit, what do we do because we don't have this, and I was just the one throwing stuff together and trying to make matches different. So it was a lot of stress on him. So I don't miss that part for him. Um, and like obviously the fans around here, they miss their death matches, they miss their blood. But that's not death matches aren't what makes IWA IWA. It's the in ring stuff. It's those guys going out there every week and killing it, and going balls to the wall, every Thursday in Jeffersonville.
Would you still be in IWA if they were still doing death matches?
No, I don't think so, man. I think I think it just got to a point where I ran my course there. Um, there was a time when the ship, uh, the crew was myself, John Wayne Murdoch, and Reed Bentley. Then John and Reed left for their reasons, and as far as like the deathmatch stuff, I was a dude there every week, whether it was a Thursday or Saturday. I was there every week, bleeding and busting my ass and everything else, and I think it just got to a point where I just grew away. I will always love IWA; it will always have a place in my heart. But I grew away from being in love with it and wanting to be a part of the company as an in-ring competitor.
Okay. Did you see Kevin's interview?
I heard bits and pieces of it. I haven't watched the thing. I heard he put over sickness on there.
How you feel about that?
Fuck him. He's a fucking racist. He's a bigot. He's a piece of shit. Some people saw my post. Uh, I don't want support like that. Trainwreck's for everybody, man. Trainwreck. I don't care if you're what race you are, what religion you are, what your sexuality is. If you're you know, male, non-binary, whatever. Um, you know, whatever you are, Trainwreck's for you. Trainwreck's for everybody. And he's a fucking low life sack of shit that needs to stop running wrestling shows and stay dead and gone.
So it's fair to say that you do not like IWA Deep South.
No, fuck him.
What's your feelings on Horror Slam?
They put on great shows. Like they do great shit. They book great matches. I didn't like how they did business with certain talent regarding Southern Sickness. Um, they chose to they chose to actively pursue people that I already had booked on my show for months, uh, and offer them insane amounts of money and flights and everything else, stuff that I couldn't provide when I was booking a show with 24 people on it, and that's not counting referees and production equipment and everything else. I could not put more on my plate, and they decided to actively pursue these guys, even though they were booked. And I think that's shady, and I think that's shitty. But that's my only issue with them. I fully support whatever they're doing. Good for them for doing their deathmatch thing up there. If Fryer, who's like the main guy up there, wanted to come down to Trainwreck, I don't the type to tell somebody to fuck off like that. I just wish they would have done business better. If they would have contacted me and said, "Hey, man, any way you can, change your card around and maybe do part of night 1 on night 2 and get these guys there, or whatever, we could have possibly worked something out."
Yeah, Mike said your mic's a little staticky.
All right, that a little bit better.
Yeah, that I can hear you fine. Okay, what about the yeah, he said it was better. All right, the Matthew Justice no show.
So he was supposed to ride with Eddie only. He was supposed to ride with Eddie only. Eddie only got go. Eddie crying over an orange, y'all. So he was supposed to ride with Eddie only, and Bobby Beverly. I booked Bev like 2 weeks before the show because Justice likes riding with him. So I booked Bev, and I like Bev. I love Bev. I booked Bev. Was going to put him in the opening scramble deal or whatever. Bev ended up having to work his job. Eddie got staff. And the day before the show, Justice was like, "Oh, well, I don't feel like making the drive alone." But I booked one of the AIW kids. I've sent this text message to several people. I said, how about I book some of the AIW kids and put them in a non-tournament match? And he was like, "No, I just don't feel like making the drive by myself." And I never once said that he's a pussy for what he does in the ring. Falling off a fucking 4-story balcony or whatever the fuck it was through all those tables, awesome. All the other shit he does, awesome. I like watching him in the ring when he's at Mid-South, But if you commit to a show 4 months out and you fucking don't want to get in the car, like, that's on you, dude. Like, I offered to put people in the car with you. Okay, like, that's where the comment came
um, your friendship with Chris Hero.
I love Hero, man. He if you watch any of my matches and see a lot of the chain stuff that I do, and it's all from Hero, all from when I was learning from Hero when I was younger, from like the ages of like 7 till I was 12. Hero would always anytime he came in, he was like, "Oh man, I got this new hold. Let me show you. I got this or that." So our family still talks to Hero to this day. Still texts my dad and still talks to my mom and everything else, and hear from him periodically. So, uh, I love Chris. Always will have a soft spot in my heart. Hero.
Who in the entire world? Who do you want? Who's the top person right now from Japan, Mexico, United States, wherever? Who's the top guy you think right now?
You as far as who's the best wrestler in the world?
Best in death matches.
Oh, in death matches, sense of aura and crowd engagement. There's nobody like Nick Gage. Um, as far as in ring talent goes, and having really good death matches, unfortunately being out, I think Raver is the best dude today. Can go with literally anybody. Can have a good match with anybody. Um, and obviously, you got Jun Kasai, who's been doing it forever, and
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think the dude's ever slowed down ever. You don't see him mailing it in any matches. He's still as crazy as he's ever been.
I love Jun Kasai. That dude is just fucking badass. What's the worst injury you've ever had?
I broke the C4 vertebrae in my neck from taking a brainbuster on an open chair from John Wayne Murdoch. Wrestled a year with that before I found out it was broken, and then I broke a bone in my back wrestling Marcus Crane at VOW. So those are probably the two worst as far as like really bad injuries. As far as cut goes, I have a cut right above my elbow. I took a choke slam into a casket with tubes in it, and it cut me open pretty bad. But it's actually what led to my fiance talking, my now fiance talking to me almost 5 years ago, which led to having my daughter. So it's the worst cut that's ever happened to me, but the best thing that's ever happened to me at the same time.
Uh, Johnny wants to say, hey JC Rodden, what are your thoughts on Freedom's USA debut in 2020 on Mania weekend?
It's awesome, man. It's great. More people are more people are going to get to see what those guys do. Here in the states, and it's awesome for them. I'm so happy that they get to come over here and show what they're doing. Yes, that is me. Right there on the screen. Daddy. Okay, go play. Go watch your tablet. Yes, I was bleeding there. Go watch your tablet.
How do you feel about GCW right now?
It's awesome, man. I mean, it's I went down to Nashville, not this last time they were there, but the time before. Brett invited me down. I helped them out doing some stuff. The tag that they had with Rejects and I think Kevin Koo and Dom and somebody else, and there was another tag in it. But they needed some stuff, and I still had a bunch of shit left over in my car that didn't get used at Rec Room, and I was like, here you go, here's a bunch of stuff. But it was awesome, man. Those dudes are super awesome. So happy that they if you watch those early GCW shows, they had a crowd in there, but not like they do now. And it's I'm super proud that they've just burst onto the scene and really given a platform to a lot of guys that might not have gotten that chance otherwise.
Okay. Vic wants to know any weapons you won't use.
Razor wire.
Why is
That
that?
it's super fucking dangerous, and there's no. I'll fall on razor blade boards and use Kenzines and all that other shit. But you have no control over razor wire. Put your fucking hand in it the wrong way or something, and you're fucked.
So you said you call the line at razor wire. What
Yeah,
about pigeon spikes?
I know.
Pigeon spikes.
You could do them. You could do something with them. You know, uh, in certain way. I mean, razor wire you could do stuff with too, but the pigeon spikes you can control a little bit more depending on what you do with them. Uh,
Okay.
but razor wire, you'll never see that with me, and you'll never see that with Trainwreck.
Let's see. Michael Thick. He wants to know your dream match.
Um, one that won't happen is my dad and I against Jonathan Wolf and his dad Joey Kid Owens. JKO is on his way out the door. Obviously, I'm pretty fucked up right now with some health issues, and my dad's basically gone blind. That's my dream tag match. But a match that I would like to happen is myself and Gage 1-on-1, and myself versus Casanova in Brooklyn, no ring. Those are my two matches that I want to have. My quote unquote dream matches.
Michael Thick wants to know, will IWA do death matches again?
I'm sure they will. I'm sure eventually they get out of the arena and find a spot of their own, or they go somewhere else. Go to another state or whatever. I'm sure they'll do them again. I don't have a timeline exactly on when they will. Because like when I talk to my dad, every week, he's just happy with these young kids coming there every week and learning and getting better. That's his goal right now is for these kids to get to go places like Impact and Evolve and everything else. So his focus isn't on death matches right now. So eventually I think he will come back to it, but I don't think there's a definitive timeline on when.
Okay. Okay. Um. Any more questions anybody wants to ask? Because well, I have a question. Um, I want to see you and your dad go 1-on-1. I would like to see that. Not really a question, but that I would like to see that. I don't know why, but
We we had a match. I want to say 2015, I think, maybe 2014, somewhere around there. Mickey Knuckles was the guest referee. And there was like a fuckery deal. It's when I turned heel at Mid South the first time. Um, it wasn't really an actual match though. We didn't do much. So if we actually had the opportunity to actually wrestle, that'd be awesome. But again, with his health issues and stuff, and mine, I don't see it happening. So
Johnny wants to know your thoughts on RSP winning the title.
love it. Rick became one of the best I've ever been in the ring with. Um, and I'm glad that he finally decided, that they finally decided to jump ship and go to GCW. And there's only one place for him, and that's at the top. So if he's got to, do some underhanded shit to the king, and get take what he can get. Good on him.
Robert wants to know, did you ever play the backyard wrestling game? What was your favorite character?
Mondo. It's the dude I do. I obviously I played it, but like I spent a decent amount of time. I still actually talk to Mondo quite frequently, and and so he was the dude that I played with like all the time. I played that game a lot when I was younger. It had stuff in it that I saw at shows when I was a kid, so I was like, oh, I want to play this one.
I played that game. I played the fuck out of that game.
Oh yeah, dude. If they released that game today with today's graphics, it would sell like crazy.
Well, they got that dude that's making a computer one, but it's supposed to take years or something.
Yeah, I saw that. I hope somebody does like like some type of big Kickstarter or something, or gets other developers involved or something to get that game out faster.
I know. I want to play it. It looks fucking awesome. Like that shit. Your favorite music?
My man, I don't get to listen to a lot of music of my own now. All my music is like Disney music. That's
You on
all
that one?
in the car like 24/7. It's Descendants and Zombies and everything else. But when I get to listen to music, I listen to rap or I listen to like old country. Um, Hank, Waylon, Willie, stuff like that. So I'm like real far, to one side or real far to the other. I don't have like an in between.
What's the worst road story that you can tell us?
Rib story.
Yeah, the worst road story, like the
Oh,
most worst one.
um, you want worst as in bad experience or funny?
Both.
Worst as in bad experience was we were doing a show in Muscatine, Iowa, with NWA No Limits when I was younger. I want to say I was probably 7 or 8, and the trailer that we were hauling the ring on ended up getting a flat tire in the middle of Iowa in the middle of winter. So it's fucking freezing outside, like and of course me like being me at the time, like I want to be right out there, like on top of stuff, and trying to help and everything else. But it's freezing outside, it's fucking miserable. We were out there for like 2 hours. Um, Another terrible thing, uh, terrible time. I think my dad actually talks about it on a Bellevue DVD. I can't remember which DVD it was. I was like 14, and we were staying at a hotel in right outside of Bellevue, Illinois. And we were walking across the street to the restaurant, and we heard banging like on the ring truck. So 14, I'm full of piss and vinegar and want to fight everybody all the time and everything else. So I take off running towards the truck, and like 20 gang members come out from behind this truck. And I just keep running towards them. And my dad's like, "Turn around, you fucking idiot." So we stop, turn around, fucking go inside, call the police, whatever. That was another shitty time that happened. I don't really remember much. Other than those are like two that stand out really big to me. Funny, it's not really a road story, but it's a rib. Um, I have two of them. So it was when IWA used to run Hammond, Indiana, all the time. We always used to stay at this like decently nice hotel because they gave us a good rate and stuff because we were there every month. And me, I would always hang out. Like I would never hang out like in my parents' room. I would always go and like hang out with somebody else, like J.C. Bailey or Too Tough Tony or people like that. And so it's like 5:30 in the morning, and Too Tough Tony and I are still awake, and we we go down to the Continental Breakfast and get a bunch of syrup packets, and go. And anybody that watches Rockstar Pro might know who Kyle Maverick is, and we proceeded to fill Kyle Maverick's shoes with syrup, uh, and then Tony to wake him up gave him a hot foot, which if anybody doesn't know what that is when you light the person's sock on fire. And this is after and I think they'd been drinking or something that night or something like that, and because he was passed out, and this is after we put mustard on his head and all types of dumb shit, and he woke up just shoes full of syrup and everything else, and then another time is when we were running Joliet. The Vito Tomaselli and I took Jason Hades' light heavyweight title and hung it from the rafters uh, in the locker room right before he was about to go out, so he couldn't find his title before his match. So those are that's some fun stuff I've been a part of.
What is the most scariest moment that you've been in the ring, like either as a it's just watching or it actually happening to you?
Actually happening to me is when John Wayne and I did the neck breaker off top of the ladder during our House of Horrors match. Um, Originally, the plan was for us to go all the way to the top of the ladder and come down through the middle of it. We were going to try to break the X. But when we got up there, the ladder was like so wobbly that we couldn't get all the way up to the top to go through it. So we were just worried we were going to fucking crash to the floor. And so literally we just held on to each other and fucking went for dear life. I saw Mitch get his head cut open. I saw Necro get his arm cut open. Those were both really scary when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I remember Necro's arm with the one with
Yeah,
Pondo.
it was pretty fucking wicked. I was there the night Punk fractured his skull, and remember his head hitting the floor. And then later on, what I really remember is Dale Patrick's went for a moonsault to the outside and cracked his head on the floor. And man, it was fucking scary. And then being in the ring with Trip Cassidy when he got cut at Prince of the Death. I remember it because I went into the hospital. I didn't clean up from Prince. I went to the finals with Maria. Got paid immediately. Didn't go to my house to shower. Nothing. Immediately went to the hospital to check on him. As soon as I walk in, they're like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just here for the other guy that's got a big cut on his arm."
I was gonna ask you what it's like to what was it like to win Prince of the Death matches, but I guess now we
Uh,
know.
I, I actually didn't win that year. Maria won, and I think that really put her on a path to get more places. So I'm super happy. I love Maria, man. She's like one of my best friends outside of wrestling. So to be able to be one of the guys that helped put her on is awesome.
Let's see. Vic wants to know how many years did the shopping cart dive take off your life?
You know, the funny thing is people people talk about that shopping cart diet a lot, and it's probably one of the safer things that I do. People always talk about like I think it was like POD 3 or something like that, where the dude got cut really bad. But the reason he got cut is because there was broken tubes already in the cart, and I'm not going to break down the entire science of why I do it because magicians never reveal their tricks. Um, but like I set it up a certain way to not get fucked up. Um, and it's actually one of the easier things that I do that just looks really fucking gnarly.
John wants to know where's deathmatch wrestlers.
Uh, fuck. A majority of the Deep South guys. Can I just say that?
That's we'll take that.
And like some people, like some of these dudes might like never met John Ray. He might be the nicest dude in the world. I have no idea. Terrible wrestler. Spider Boudreaux, I've met him. Nice guy. Terrible wrestler. Like there's a decent amount of guys that are great guys. Terrible deathmatch wrestlers.
Oh, let's see. Johnny wants to know what was your reaction to your dad Ian and Uncle Axel feuding back in the day with their blood wars?
So the first time I ever did Taipei Death, I went back and watched that match like 4 or 5 times just to get ideas of what to do in that match. My dad had magazines and stuff because, like I said, I wasn't born until '96, and they were feud of the year in '95. So I remember just like when I got older, him showing me magazines of like them being in ECW and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, man. I do have a story about my dad to share with you guys that is pretty funny to me. So I was in second grade, and at that time, my dad was going back and forth to Europe a lot for WXW, and actually was in Sweden for one of their shows. So when my dad came back to the States, he bought my entire class Swiss chocolate, and then bought Hershey bars, so my class could do like an experiment to see which one was better or whatever. And after that, after my like, obviously I had to tell these people like how my dad did this. Then everybody finds out my dad's a wrestler, so then they think that's like the coolest thing. Um, so my dad like signed a bunch of autographs for my class and stuff, and then like my entire second grade year, like all I got asked was like, "Hey, is your dad gonna bring more chocolate in?" Um, so that's just like a funny story that I was like the coolest kid in second grade because my dad was a wrestler and he bought us chocolate.
Do you remember how you felt whenever you found out that's what your dad did? Like,
I always knew, like, I'd never there was never a time of where I was like, oh, he's a wrestler, because I started going to shows when I was 6 months old.
right.
Uh, I was born in May of '96, and IWA started in October of '96. Um, so like I was going to shows at like 6 months old, and so it's literally all I've known my entire life. Um, so like it was just the norm for me. When I started to like realize what he was doing, I was like, oh, this is cool. But I was so enthralled with like the Hardy Boys and Rey Mysterio and people like that when I was younger, um, that it wasn't until I got older, like 6, 7, 8, um, that I was like really into what my dad was doing.
Okay. What's your favorite style of wrestling to watch?
Um, Honestly, British catch as catch can. Like I'm really big into old like World of Sport stuff, like Johnny Saint, um, stuff like that. Billy Robinson, stuff like that. Um, but like modern wrestling, um, is technical. Guys like Zack Sabre Jr., Jonathan Gresham. That's really my favorite thing to watch. Um, as far as like when I sit down and want to watch wrestling, that's what I watch.
Okay, okay. Is there any more questions before we wrap this up? So, is there anything that you want to plug again?
All right, man. So yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a little update, and I know this is a big thing for you all. And Marley kind of like let the cat slip a little in her interview. Um, we're working on bringing Alex to the states. We're trying to get Alex into Southern Sickness next year. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of paperwork to do, a lot of national paperwork. Um, but we are working on getting that crazy Russian motherfucker here. Um, so hopefully, in a couple months, we do this paperwork, we get this done, and I can announce to you guys that Alex gets to come to the States and live his fucking dream and be part of Sickness. So cross your fingers on all that. Say your prayers and send us positive vibes and everything else to get him here. Um, because that's what we're working on right now. And then Christmas Eve, come here to MDKC so you can get the next female announcement in Southern Sickness Cup. We're announcing it on Christmas Eve. You guys get it early, early before the public does. Um, so that's girl. So that's what I give you guys. So Christmas Eve. Make sure you check in the group because we're going to be making a post about who that next female competitor is.
So right now they have Cody.
Cody Rice, defending champ. Casanova Valentine's coming back, and Marley Knox, and we'll be announcing who number 4 is on Christmas Eve.
Fantastic. Uh, I want to see Alex in the States. I'm coming to Sickness, so I want to see him there. I think he deserves it.
Who was that?
Alex, he deserves it.
Yeah, man, that kid loves wrestling. We were having a conversation, um, you know, and I was like, how do you feel about coming to the States 2 weeks early and doing some training and blah blah blah? And he was like, oh well, it just depends on the cost of living in the States. And I was like, no man, like I'm telling you that I'll pay for you to live here. You can stay with me. I'll feed you. Make sure you got beer. And he was just over the moon happy. Um, I've already built a relationship with him. So I'm hoping that we get this paperwork done. Russian government doesn't give us too many issues. Trump administration doesn't give us too many issues, and we can get Alex here so we can see him live his dream live.
Yes, yes, I would like to see that happen. So, well, I want to thank you for doing this for us, and it is
Well,
greatly
thank you.
appreciated.
I love being on here. I love talking to you guys, and like I said, follow Pro Wrestling Trainwreck, PW Trainwreck on Instagram and Twitter, Pro Wrestling Trainwreck on Facebook, and like I said, anybody that ever wants to chat with me, just hit me up. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I'm always down to have a chit chat.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again.
Thank you, man.
All right, and we have two new shows coming up on Murder Death Kill Club. So y'all stay tuned and check that out. So, all right, thank you again.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Later, man.